All right, so we are so privileged to have the amazing, fantabulous, beautiful, fun Venna Bradshaw covering chapter 9 for us. And this was the chapter about finding no, which is a very important thing to do as we learn, right? And sometimes it's simply saying no to ourselves in different ways, or learning what our limits are and to say no to others. So it's kind of cool. I know I had some aha moments with this chapter, and I think you all did too. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to our beautiful Venna. And Venna, we know that you will call people out and demand some participation, which we love. So don't be afraid to call on people if needed.
Oh, I will tonight, because this is a hard chapter. And let me tell you something else. I got this bad virus yesterday. I can't get rid of it. And so every once in a while, it'll just kick me off and take me somewhere else. Today, I had a bunch of porn pop up, so that wasn't very fun.
Oh, no.
I know, and I can't get rid of it. That's why I have it. I didn't stage fright. Anyway, so this chapter is on finding your no. Do you ever feel guilty when you say no? Come on, I know you do. We all feel guilty, especially, I think, as moms and wives. And if you are a member of a church, you're taught never to say no to a calling, never to say, you're always just supposed to step up and do it, right? When people ask us for something or ask us to do something, do we take those requests like a command? I think lots of times we do. And many of us have lost the ability to say no and not to feel guilty. We have gone overboard and we can't say no. But you know what? Those 3%ers, they know how to say no. Happy, successful people have learned how to say no without being disagreeable or mean. And that's hard. When we can say no with a smile, we will have mastered one of the most important steps of the secret code to success. We're now at step 6, where we learn to find our no. Because so many of us have lost our ability to say no, we have to get it. We have to find it again. Saying no is not as easy as it seems, as it sounds. If it were, there wouldn't be so many doormats and so many people pleasers. And another thing, I think, being moms, being women, we're people pleasers. And we must find our personal no. How to find our personal no. Have you ever thought you might have trouble saying no to yourself? You know, we want that. We want something, we usually get it. Our 3 resources are time, energy, and money. And are we doing things that waste those resources? Those are the only 3 things we have, is the time, money, and energy. To find our personal no, we need to examine activities we are doing. We need to find our personal no, he said, and we need to ask ourselves, what activities? I'm gone. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
You can still hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm not going to fool around too much with it because it'll lose me. But why am I doing them, and what is it costing me? Some of the uses, some of the things we might do are being on the internet too much, being just, I don't know, do any of you girls have any things that you might waste time doing or energy?
Oh, no, never.
I didn't think so. I thought you would all have it all figured out.
We're perfect.
Good job. And he tells us to find better uses to spend our time. And what actions can I get to take what I will? I will be honest with ourselves. Am I procrastinating, overeating, undereating, spending time on the internet? And why do I procrastinate? And procrastination is caused by fear. The fear of what? Anybody afraid here of anything? I can't see you, so you'll have to just, come on.
I'll say procrastination is one of my biggest setbacks in life. And I don't know why I insist on doing it, but I'm like a master procrastinator.
Well, I insist on doing it because my husband is so not a procrastinator, and he thinks of doing something so he gets it done right this very minute. But me, I would rather think about it and be miserable.
Sometimes I think if we think that if we ignore it, it'll either work itself out or just go away.
Right.
I'm listening to.
Once we listed what we're doing that's draining our time, money, and energy, he asked us to take a closer look and ask ourselves, why am I doing those things and what is it costing me? Being on the internet too much for me is wasting my time, but it also gives me sanity, so I don't know.
That's important too.
Yeah.
I brought him home some chicken.
What if people think I'm dumb or stupid? Or the fear of? Or what if I succeed? What if I'm really successful? What is it costing me? Is wasting time or energy costing anyone anything?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Wasting money. He says that he's not against having a cup of coffee or a chocolate bar once in a while, but he calls those $5 a day fancy drinks. He says you could pay a credit card off or part of a mortgage. We know what we need to do. We know what we need to do. It's just hard to admit it sometimes. Mm-hmm. We are the ones spending the money. Did you ever think about that? Your credit card's not jumping out of your wallet and saying, spend me, I want that, I want that. And rich people are great at managing their money. Are we doing what they do? I only know a couple of rich people. Well, I don't know. And he said, if you don't know what they're doing, then hang out with them. And charge money. What actions can I take to be in better charge of our money? Anybody have any idea?
I think we have to discipline ourselves.
Yeah, it's really hard to do.
That's true. I mean, like you said, there are some people that do spend $5 a day on that, specialty cup of coffee. But if you think about how much money you're spending per month, some people do that more than once a day. You really could pay something else off. I mean, and not only that, but it's unhealthy too.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And he said this isn't a money management course, but he just wants to, give us examples. And when someone asks you to do something you don't want to do, we have the right to say no. Did you girls know that? You have the right to say no. We want to be people pleasers. And so what do? Most of us say yes. Rich, happy people don't have a problem saying no. How to say no. Become aware that someone is asking you for something from you. They ask, I do, and they ask you to do something and you jump and you do it. And he talks about a dog. You take a command and you do it. They give you a command and you do it. And he said to turn it back and ask them what they mean or what they actually want you to do, and ask questions. And let me read my writing. Reflect and get answers to their questions. What do they really want you to do? And he talks about synergy. Saying were protecting you both. Have you ever said no? I mean, yes, to a meeting or a party or something, and you really meant no, and you kind of screwed it up because you didn't want to do it. I did that on my family party. I don't think any of my sisters want me to do it by myself anymore because I was a bitch.
Oh,
Excuse me, but but I was, and I'm trying to find you girls again. Okay. If you don't value your time, no one else will. That's short, a true statement, isn't it? There are people we never ask to do anything for us because they always say no. And they found their no. It sounds kind of mean, doesn't it? The 3%ers know how to say no. Talks about no means you know your purpose on earth and you commit to stay on track, even when it's easy and tempting to get off track. When you know your global yes, your purpose, it's much easier to stay on track. Your global no deals with one fundamental something, I can't read my writing, integrity. When you act with integrity, you are who you say you are, and you simply don't deviate. Do you guys want to be known for your integrity? Noah St. John said that he doesn't promise a lot of things, but when he does promise, he follows through. And I hope that's what we're all remembered for. So he talks that one of the most important things you can do is to get your foot off the brake, is to find your no. That's because highly successful, happy people have given themselves permission to say no when they mean no. And the number 2 recap, the 3 aspects to find your no are: find your personal no, find your interpersonal no, and find your global no. Find your personal no. No means saying no to yourself. Unsuccessful, unhappy people have a hard time saying no to things they know aren't good for them. And then he says, find your impersonal no, means saying no to others. Rich, happy people know how to say no when other people's demands don't fit into their own visions. Learn to say no with a smile. That's kind of hard to do, but I think we can learn to do it. Find your global no, means your integrity. The things you are not willing to do that you have that would compromise your principles. When you come from, I don't have, the universe has no choice but to reflect back. Okay, you don't have. Instead, come from, I have, and God will respond with a life of true abundance. List 3 things that you can do from this chapter in the next 70 days to find your no for greater peace of mind and satisfaction in your life and business. Can any of you girls think of something you could do that from this chapter that could give you a greater peace of mind?
I think one of the things that stuck out to me was, a lot of times we say yes, and we think that that is what is keeping our relationships good, not denying someone. But we actually guard our relationships more when we say no to things that we shouldn't be saying yes to. And I thought that that was a really great thought. The other thing was, I think when someone asks me to do something, not to immediately respond to it, don't react to it, but rather think about it and then respond. And I think sometimes our automatic response is automatically to go, sure, yeah, I'd be glad to do that, and we respond in the affirmative, partly because we want to be helpful, partly because we want to please other people. But if we'll just take a minute and think about it, I think often we can make a better choice, and sometimes that may be saying no, and that actually will guard our relationship so that there's no resentment or that feeling of being used or, any of those other negative things that can affect a relationship.
I like that,
So good.
Amy. That's good.
And that he does talk about protecting relationships. If you say no to a friend and inside you're kind of upset about it, you'd be lots better off to say no. He said, you got to get some of it in your brain so you know what to say. He said, how about if we talk about this next year? That was my favorite. I'd love to help, but I'm cutting back on the time I spend in that area. Or why are you, you've been so good to me, but I need to say no to this. Is there something else I can do? The ability to disagree without being disagreeable is a learned skill that's simply on the far side of complexity. He talks about when he was a temp, and he said, well, they weren't paying him very much, so he would take things home in whatever fit in his duffel bag, and he always didn't have anything. And he didn't take anything home from work. He had enough. Started getting better jobs. So the universe knows when we have that fear of not having enough. So what are some of the affirmations we can use for step 6 to finding our no?
I recorded those this morning because I have a really hard time with this. So I did all of them on my Think Up app.
Let's hear them, Renee.
It says, why is it easy for me to say no when I mean no? Why do I love saying no with a smile? Why do I enjoy synergizing? Which I had to go back and remind myself what that was.
Me too.
Yeah.
Why do I love finding better solutions? Look at me as a leader. Why am I comfortable in my own skin? Because I have a sister that says no all the time, and I've stopped asking her for favors or whatever. But I kind of think she's a jerk about it too and selfish. So I really struggle with this. So I think there's a fine line between, I don't know, being helpful and guarding your relationship and saying no when you need to protect, that relationship. Why do I have all that I need? Why do I have more than enough to be all that I want? Why am I so confident? Why am I enough?
Oh, I love those.
So
Aren't those so good?
Those are good. And you know what? I think there's so many ways to say no without using the word no. And you can do it in such a polite way that people don't feel offended or like you're being rude at all. I mean, he gave some great examples, and I practiced this just last week. I want you to know, you guys will be proud of me. We signed my son up for youth wrestling, and the coach asked if I would be willing to help with a fundraiser. And I said, you know what? I would love to do that any other time, but right now I am not the right person for you. We're just moving, we're remodeling. Everything's just crazy right now. So ask me again in the future, okay? And he was totally like,
good one.
Awesome. That's great. Thanks anyways, no big deal. And I didn't feel bad about it one bit. Not one bit. I didn't even blink an eye.
And it sounded like you were doing him a favor by doing it because you're so busy right now.
I know. I was like, I'm just not the right person for you right now, and not that I'm not willing or wanting to, but it would be a disservice, for me to do a bad job with it, basically, is what I was trying to say. And I think he understood that. And people really do respect that. And they think that I don't think it comes across as rude at all if you say no in the right way, and if you say it with your heart.
And I think, Renee, what you were saying about your sister who's kind of the no person, just like it's not always right to say yes, and we need to think about why we say yes and say yes at the right time and no at the right time. The people who are on kind of the flip side, half empty cup that tend to say no all the time, they in their own world also need to really kind of contemplate their motivations for saying no, and they shouldn't be saying no all the time. There's probably a lot of times that they should be saying yes when they're saying no, just like there are a lot of times that we should be saying no when we tend to say yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
And where do you find this happy medium at? I don't know, because this really confused me, this chapter.
Well, I think Amy got it right. She said you don't respond right away. You sit and you think about it. Like, is this something that really is the right thing for me at this time? And it will, affect our relationship either negatively or positively, and why or why not, whatever. You know what I mean? I think you got to think it through first, but it's always, you got to put your own goals and family and priorities first, and you can find a way to say no to people without, and make that.
Yeah, and I think it's really assessing not only the motivation, but the rightness of the situation. Sometimes I think if we stop for a minute and think, why would I say yes? Is it because I feel bad if I say no? Is it because I want to make that person think more highly of me? So thinking, why would you say yes? And then weighing that with why would you say no? And I think that helps bring a balance, because a lot of times our yes is about meeting the needs of another person as opposed to guarding our own needs.
Yeah.
That really may possibly be the place where we should be putting our priority.
I like that. And then what if you added to that, if you do feel that saying no is the better choice at this time, in this circumstance, how can you say no in a loving way that they're going to understand your true intentions and for the relationship still, what I mean?
I think that's a really great skill to grow into, because a lot of times I think when we say no, it's like hyper apologetic, feeling really horrible. We're like, we're the bad guy, and just because we're saying no. And I think that there is a real where you're still honoring the other person, you're honoring yourself, but just like Whitney, like you were saying, that maybe it's a time issue. So it's not a lack of willingness, it's a timing issue. So I think we can learn to be strong and confident in being able to respond with a no without, having to feel really horrible about it.
And think about how that makes the other person feel when you're overly apologetic and they can tell that you feel horrible. They don't want to put you in that position. Just make it sound like it's no big deal. Oh, you know what? I would love to, but I just can't right now. I hope you understand, explain, whatever, but don't be overly apologetic, because then they're going to feel bad that they asked you.
Yeah.
So
I love, Whitney, the way you told the coach you would be happy to do it another time.
I have a 180 on this. I don't have a lot of things because I just want to say yes to Plexus all the time. So I think my problem is I need to find that balance and, use my resources, my time, energy on Plexus so that I can say no to Plexus sometimes and give balance to other things. Because I have a problem and I could just do it all because I love it.
That's true. And there's actually, that reminds me of a conversation that a bunch of people had on one of the Jules groups one time, where, it was getting really deep and emotional, where women were basically confessing that their relationship with their spouse was struggling because they were putting too much time into their business and they just didn't know how to turn it off. And, they were sharing tips and ideas of, when you go to dinner with your family, leave your phone in the car and things like this, because it was such an issue for so many of the people on that group. And it's something that you have to really be willing, even if it's something you love and you enjoy doing and you realize that it's helping other people. You can't let it hurt your relationships with your spouse, with your kids. You have to keep perspective on those things. And I like something I heard Brooke Hemingway say once, where she doesn't believe there's a perfect balance in all things. She doesn't believe that's possible. She thinks that there's seasons where we give more time to one thing and less to another. And it could be from day to day. It could be from one week to the next week. It could be from month to month or quarterly or whatever. But she said that you just kind of have to roll with what feels right at that time. and make sure that you're keeping your priorities straight, because it's tricky.
Well, and that's why I think the quote at the very end that says, choose your mentors wisely because you become who you follow. I really just want to focus on learning, how to do the business more effectively so that I don't feel like I need to put in that many hours, because if I have it more, if I'm using my resources better, or I know more what I'm doing, and I say, okay, this is more intentionality, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, 100%.
Helps, yeah.
Can I tell you, I feel like I work less now as a diamond than I did as probably a ruby or senior ruby. And that's because I've learned how to prioritize and how to utilize my time better, work smarter, not harder. And learn it early. That's something that
That's what I'm trying to do. Yep.
Yeah. And I used to hate when people would message me, or, people are always like, I know you're so busy. I know you're always, you know what I mean? Like, and I hate it when they say that, because I'm like, you don't understand, guys. Like, yeah, I'm busy, but if I weren't busy with Plexus, I would make myself busy doing something else. And I do plenty of other things, you know what I mean? So I hope you guys don't get that impression from me that that's all I do is Plexus from the time I wake up till the time I go to bed at night, because that for sure ain't true, because that's not why we do Plexus. Plexus is for Plexus freedom, and that's time free.
Can I ask another question? So on the affirmations, how long, I know they said to listen to the same affirmations for like 2 weeks or something. So Renee, are you still on the free one and you're saying them really fast? Because I tried that and it works. But how, like Renee said, she just started listening to the ones from this chapter. So my question is, how often are you doing the ones from this chapter until you move on to other, or do you just add those to the ones you already have?
I just add them to what I have, and I just listen to them every day, sometimes several times a day. So as we finish each chapter, I just add them. What'd you say?
By now, right?
Yeah.
Did you pay for that?
I did pay for it, yeah.
It's so worth it.
It was totally worth it, yeah.
And don't you love the music too? I feel like the music makes a big difference.
Yeah, I love it. Totally worth it.
Invest in yourselves, girls. It's worth it. Yeah. Okay, well, I think we had some great discussion. We're out of time. Does anyone have a final thought or comment?
So I love the quote at the first. It really hit home to me, where it says, there are many roads to success, but only one sure road to failure, and that is trying to please everyone else, from Benjamin Franklin. Because I have a problem with that. So, and I posted on Facebook about saying no and stuff like that, and there's some really good feedback on there. So if you want to go read through them, it's good.
Okay,
so,
I like that.
For more people than just Plexus people. So it was kind of interesting.
I'll have to check that out. That's awesome. Oh.
So, yeah.
That's a great way to end it. Thanks, and let's all go check out Renee's post. That sounds really awesome.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you, everyone. Venna, you did such a great job leading us, and I'll post the recording soon.
Okay, all righty. Good
night.
Bye-bye.
Oh, chapter 10 next week is Larry.
Yeah.
It'll be a part.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
See ya.
Bye.